Welcome, welcome everybody to the first episode, the premiere episode of racing of Double File, presented by Carolina Sports Network. We're having a little technical difficulties getting everybody in here. Um, just sit back, relax, and we'll work on these issues. What's up? Okay, we are back. Do you know where the other two are?
I haven't heard from them.
And they said they was gonna be ready. They lied to me.
They did.
Well, I mean, we get this is our first episode. Well, I mean, we're getting our feet wet. We can get this going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, like I said earlier, welcome everybody to the first episode of Double File, presented by Carolina Sports Network. I'm your host Charles Warren with my co-host Brent Patterson.
How's it going?
So, Nashville was a good weekend.
I thought it was a pretty good race.
I was very satisfied by the the entire weekend. Really, all three races, the Truck Series. I only caught the. I only got was able to catch the highlights, but from what I saw, it was a good race. Um, I did watch the Xfinity
Yeah, it was
race.
pretty good. Go ahead.
Um, so topics on here that I got in my notes is Carson Hocevar, man, got his second career win, and this time, I mean, he beat the field. He didn't. There wasn't a wreck in front of him that he missed. He didn't luck into it. He beat the entire field all day.
Oh yeah, unstoppable. He was a rocket ship out there, man.
Absolutely.
Unstoppable.
Absolutely. I mean, props to Carson Hocevar for sure. Congratulations to Neats Motorsports.
I really wish he wouldn't have those problems when he took over for Lahore a couple weeks ago, because he was on track probably get a top 10, top 15 is what it looked like. And that was in a cup car, so
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna be one to watch for.
I think I don't know if you caught it. Blaney and Wallace had a little bit of tiff early on in the race Sunday.
Yeah, I did see that. I think let's see. I think it was that Blaney was trying to pass Bubba on the outside, and Bubba washed up the track. I don't think Bubba was trying to wash up into Blaney. I think he was trying to cover the spot so Blaney couldn't get to his outside to dive into the next corner. But I don't think that Bubba did anything egregious.
No, definitely not. I think if you look at it the way the line was ran, Bubba was already clearly committed to that line, and Blaney was trying to stick his nose somewhere it wasn't going to go. And I get the frustration of getting put in the wall, but you kind of put yourself in the wall, man. You know, you can't blame somebody else for your actions.
Oh yeah. Um,
And it
I
was also,
I completely agree with that.
I think I don't think it's going to turn anything more for them. Just like I don't think it's going to turn anything more for Bowman and Allmendinger, who clearly were upset with each other, giving each other the finger and
I
not talking so good about each other on the radio.
I don't know where that came from. I don't think NBC ever showed what started that.
For what I could see, basically, it was really just hard racing, man. Allmendinger passed Bowman, and then Bowman dove it back in on the inside of him and passed him back, and they just got close. I think they touched a little bit, but none of them hit the wall or anything. And Allmendinger's known to be a hothead, and he was just real mad about it. And I get it, but that's racing, man. Nobody got any damage. Nobody got hurt. I don't see what the problem with it was.
I don't either. I mean, the old saying is rubbing's racing. So I mean, if you're not rubbing, then you're doing something wrong. Back to the Truck Series. Haley Deegan and Lawless Allen. Um, I don't know if it looked like Haley just got loose getting into the corner and just washed up into Lawless. What do you think about that?
Yeah, mean, it's hard to say, man. There's so much you don't see that goes on with racing. I wouldn't. I mean, why would you take the chance of messing yourself up intentionally? I mean, I could see where some people might think it was a big ordeal and it was intentional, but I
Well,
don't know, man. Like you said,
well, there is history because I think last year in the fall Martinsville race, they got into it. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was the fall Martinsville race.
um, I can't remember, and it could very well be from that. But after this many races, and
Yeah,
it
I
happened
don't.
last year, if
Yeah, I
you're
don't
going to
think.
take revenge, that's
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't. I don't think there's anything coming from last year. Um, I think it was just a mistake on Haley's part.
I agree. I agree.
Uh, Moving on to the Daniel Dyrek, if he didn't get clipped by, I think it was the 32 truck, that could have been a big hit. Or if he was going a little bit faster down the hill, he could have got it right in the door.
Right.
Um, that was a scary wreck for sure.
It could have very, very potentially been the Larson-esque wreck that he had when he got hit in the door.
Oh yeah. Um, Very scary to think what could have come of that.
Yeah, and I know the trucks and the Xfinity cars are strong, and we haven't really had anybody get hurt in those in a long time. But I, I feel like if there was a wreck like that happened again, where it did somehow happen, like some of these Cup guys get, I think it'd be a lot worse because clearly you can tell they put a lot more time and effort into the Cup car safety than they do the other cars, simply because they haven't had that many injuries in those lower series. But I mean, it's 100% can happen at any time, and I feel like NASCAR should, if it comes down to it, if somebody does get hurt, it's going to cause them to look into it more. But I mean, what's wrong with not, going ahead and looking into it, maybe improving the safety of those vehicles?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, if you're gonna make one car safe, you need to make all the cars safe. Not saying that the trucks or Xfinity cars aren't safe, but it definitely shows that due to some wrecks in more recent history in the Cup Series, it seems to me that the safety concern and the safety team on in NASCAR is putting most of their focus on the Cup cars.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I get that. We haven't had those kind of problems in the lower series, but it's bound to happen. I mean, it can happen anytime. You can't say it won't.
Absolutely. Moving on to the Xfinity Series, Austin Hill versus Ty Gibbs. That is a very interesting situation.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. I'll have to let you take the reins on that one. I didn't get to catch the Xfinity Series. I just saw the truck in the Cup Series this weekend.
Well, what happened was it was Austin on the bottom, and I don't know if Ty was trying to pinch him or Ty just didn't know he was down there and came down into him, and Austin spun because of that contact. And later on in the race, there was a restart where Austin Hill sent it to the inside of Ty and slid up the track because he was on old tires. No. I take that back. He started on the front row along with Ty, but he had old tires and he just slid up the track into Ty, and the Gibbs spun because of that and collected other cars.
Okay, I got you. Doesn't sound like anything wrongdoing was in there. It just happened to be a racing incident.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it was anything. I mean, it might have been a little bit of payback, but I don't think Austin Hill is the kind of person to wreck someone getting payback at the risk of getting other innocent cars collected.
No, no, I don't. Well, I don't know about Ty Gibbs. I mean, we watched that guy take his own teammate out just to get a win,
He did.
even though
We did.
they could have had two teammates versus two teammates. So I mean, I'm not gonna say he did it on purpose, but we know he's not scared to if he needs to.
No, he and Sam Mayer have some history in the ARCA series where he would come
Exactly.
down into Sam and dump Sam sometimes. So he does have a reputation. Um, is there anything you'd like to add on Austin Hill versus Ty? Do we think this is going to continue into the next race that ties in?
Um, I would say no. I mean, you can say yes or no. I, the reason I say you can say yes because we've seen Austin Hill. Austin Hill is not scared to get out the car and show you that he means business, and Ty isn't either. But at the same time, I can't see a full-time Xfinity driver proceeding to have problems with a part-time Xfinity driver because why would you ruin, a race, let alone a whole season on somebody that's not even going to be there for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, that.
If not, maybe one or two races. That's about it.
You nailed it on the hell right there. You nailed it. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. You got it spot on right there for sure. Um, yeah. Why would you rate like Austin Hill is a full time Xfinity Series driver going for Xfinity Series points. Why would
A
he?
very talented one of that.
He is very talented. I will say Austin Hill is. He won three of the first five races. If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does. Um, why would you be so boneheaded to try to get a part time driver back and potentially wreck yourself and ruin a good points day?
Right. That and it's and I get being in the moment. Especially the hot headed guys. Your first reaction is okay, I couldn't get you today. I'm going to get you next time. But then it's like we just said. I don't think you can put yourself in that position with a part time driver, knowing that you can lose what you can lose, and he's not going to lose anything because he can't win the championship anyway. He's just out there to. I mean, I don't. Probably practice is what I'm assuming that these guys run these lower races for because I mean, once you're in the Cup car, there's nothing you can't handle out there. Usually, you see it time after time again. If Kyle Busch or Larson or somebody goes down there, they usually win the race they are partaking in. So.
Oh yeah, especially this coming weekend with the Chicago street race. I kind of see some Cup drivers being in the Xfinity race. I think the Xfinity and Truck Series is racing. I'm not sure about the Truck Series, but I know the Xfinity Series is. So I kind of see a few of the Cup guys going down to the Xfinity Series.
Yes, for sure. And before we get off the subject of Xfinity or the Xfinity race, I would like to say congratulations to Josh Berry on securing that four ride next year. He's very
Absolutely.
deserving. He's getting a great car, and I cannot wait to see what he's going to do in a Cup car full time.
Um, yeah, I mean he's already impressed almost probably everybody with what he did in the nine when Chase was out with his broken leg, um, or fractured leg. I don't remember exactly what it was. Um, he got a second place finish at Richmond in that car, and he wasn't even full time yet.
And I think if they were able to take tires and like Larson did, he could have very well and get that position back that he came out with. I think they very well could have beat Larson, honestly, because he was good all day. It was just trying to get that track position, and the pit crew did great all day. They kept inching him up further and further every stop. They finally had the money stop, but as well as I do, new fresh rubber means everything on those kind of tracks.
Oh yeah, um, yeah, tire. That's something that I've noticed with this car. I mean, it's racing in general, but especially with this car, new tires are king. I mean, it definitely feels like that. Um,
Yeah,
we saw with Larson in the All Star race at North Wilkesboro. He came in and got those tires. I mean, he was gone from there.
yeah. He literally passed the entire field, and that's not something you see every day. Sure, you'll see guys get 15, 20 spots, but usually once they crack the top 10, that's about where they sit at. But that day, I don't know. And it's crazy because if you listen to their radio chatter and stuff during the race, they were terrible before they had that last pit stop. And once they got those new tires on and got to the front, even after that, they were just unstoppable. And it's crazy to me what Cliff and Larson are able to do with such a bad car and turn around and make it the best car on track.
Oh yeah, Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson remind me of Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus.
100%.
Um, I don't know. I can't quite say who the best driver crew chief combo is, but it definitely it. I mean, for sure. I mean, just look at the stats. Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson are up there with the Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnsons, Larry McReynolds, Dale Earnhardt's, Rodney Childers, Kevin Harvick's,
The Steve Letarts, the Jeff Gordons.
the Steve
Yeah,
Letarte,
it's a close.
the Allen.
It's almost, I don't know what you call it besides a legendary combination, because those guys got a long time to go together, and I see them winning a lot more races and quite a few more championships.
That's the only word to use to describe it is legendary. I mean, legendary combinations. I mean, 75 years from now, people is going to be talking about the names that I listed: McReynolds, Earnhardt, Canals, Johnson, Gustafson, Gordon, um, Letarte Jr. Those crew chiefs, even like I said, even Letarte and Jr. They were together only what 3 4 years, and they accomplished so much. A Daytona 500, um, five win, 7 wins in all, 6, 7.
I think it was. I think it was. Think it was 6. The last one I remember was the race at Michigan. Or was
I
that when they? No, that's when they first got together. That was 2009, I believe. 2010.
2012. I remember. I know Junior won 2012. He won 2008 Michigan, but I think he still had the that. Oh, what was his name? It wasn't Yuri. Yuri had already left by then. Pretty sure he did. I might be wrong on that.
Did he have Alan Gustafson when he first started with Hendrick?
No, I don't think so. I think when he first started with Hendrick, it might have been Tony Yuri Jr. It might have been Tony
No,
Yuri.
it's hard to remember something 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, you're telling me. Um, but yeah, with Letard, I know Junior won the 4 races in 2014, 3 races in 3 points races in 2015. Um, so that's 7. I don't remember if he had Steve Letarte in 2012 or not. He might not have. But
No,
either
I think you're right. I think he started out with Tony Uri, and he got Steve Letarte when remember they switched. Jeff Gordon had Alan Gustafson or had Steve Letarte, and they switched.
uh see that's the era when I was just watching NASCAR for Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, I was just a kid. I didn't know what a crew chief was, so you're asking
Right.
someone that didn't know anything about a crew chief.
I'm almost 100% sure that's what happened. I remember because everybody knows that Steve Letarte was with Jeff Gordon for a long time, and I'm pretty sure they got switched around. And I'm trying to remember. It might have been. Allen was one of them. We know Jimmy had Chad
Oh,
till
yeah.
Byron came along. I can't remember, man. That was a long time ago.
You're telling me, my friend. Moving on still in the Xfinity series, JRM had half their cars completely destroyed at the end of the race. We got that Brendan Jones wreck at when I think Creed and Sammy Smith got together. Brendan Jones got collected in that and tore up his car, and then Justin Allgaier wrecked coming to the checkered. So I think Junior Motorsports still managed to get third and fifth, so two top fives out of the day, but still two out of four cars on the record, not good for the WAD.
No, especially when you're used to seeing JRM usually got all four cars in the top 10 most of the time, if not, going for the win or getting the top three.
JRM only has one win this year. At this point last year, they had 5.
Thanks to Noah
Gragson, but nonetheless, from 5 to 1, coming to the almost just inches from the halfway mark, just weeks from the halfway mark of the season.
Yeah, they're really gonna have to pick it up. They've been struggling a little bit this year. They got a lot of wrecks on the book right now, man. They're not coming home clean very much right now.
They're really not. It's not even the driver's fault. They just get caught up in other people's messes. But you got to be in the spot to be caught up, and they are the ones that put themselves in that spot.
Right, and it goes back to what Joey Logano said last year. Not just in super speed racing, because that's what he's talking about, but just in general. He was talking about how it sucks when a certain person wins the race when they didn't do nothing all race long because they lucked into it because all they want to do is sit in the back, wait for everybody to wreck out and come to the front. And, he put it really clearly and very good, I'd say, when he said that, I like to be up to everybody asks me, why don't I, chill out and just stay calm and just ride the race out to the end. And he was like, well, how are you going to get the experience? How are you going to get better if you're just riding around the back and looking in the wins? So he's like, you got to be up there ready to avoid the wrecks that you don't see coming.
I do agree.
You can apply that to JRM. Those boys, they race hard, in the Xfinity Series. They beat and bang really way more than the Cup Series does. And in a sense, I feel like those guys in those lower series are even more competitive than the Cup Series drivers because I feel like, I know with this new car, these guys are pretty much all but running over each other every week. But it seems like the guys in the lower series, they're more passionate about the sport, man, because they got something they have to prove. When you get to the Cup Series, that's it. Your only job is to win. In Xfinity, you can win 3 races, and you never know, that same team might shut down the next year.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Xfinity and trucks, it feels like if you win, you'll make it, but if you don't, you're done. There's articles I've seen online about, is Haley Deegan a lost cause because she hasn't won a race yet? I don't think that she is. I don't think that she is just yet. But for there to be articles already, and she's only into her 3rd year as a truck driver.
I get where it's coming from, but the numbers don't lie, man. She's just not putting the finishes there. And I know it takes a while to acclimate it to something new, or even if it's just a new team or something. But on your 3rd year and, you're still not making progress, I don't know, man. Look at Chase Elliott. He went through the Xfinity Series, dominated, got the championship, went to Cup, struggled the first year. But after that, I mean, I know it took him till his 100th win or 199th win to get to his first one, but I mean, look at the countless top fives and tens and making it into the chase without even winning a race. I mean, like I said, the numbers don't lie, man. And she's just not, I don't know. She's not putting them up there. And I'm not going to say it's her fault. You know, a lot of stuff happens on the track, a lot of stuff you can't control, and she gets caught up in a lot of stuff that's not her fault. But when you do have a good race and you're still only getting 25th to 30th place, you know, that doesn't look good on your end.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right on that. And I think the biggest issue for Haley right now is the team that she's with. This team won the 2000 and maybe 19 Truck Series championship with Matt Crafton, and he didn't win a race that year, but they still won the championship.
No, didn't win a single race. Yep. Yep.
I don't remember what year that
because
is.
of those consistent top tens and top five.
Exactly, and Haley's just got to put together races and get top fives, get top tens. She doesn't have to win. I mean, we just said she doesn't have to win, but she's got to get consistent if she's going to make it in NASCAR.
And you know, another thing, we can't put it all on her. It's got a lot to do with the crew. Well, most of it's got to do with the crew chief. If they can't get the car right and understand what she's telling them, what the car needs and stuff, if they're not giving her the right adjustments, you can't expect her to have a winning truck or a top 10 truck. So I'm not going to say it's all her fault, and it's not all the crew chief's fault. I just feel like maybe they haven't got the right driver crew chief combination yet. That could be a big part of it too.
It very well may. We spoke earlier about crew chiefs and driver combinations. I mean, Jimmy Johnson wouldn't be a 7-time champion without Chad Canals.
Absolutely not.
I will say that.
Chad Canals, it very well could be the smartest man in NASCAR, period.
I mean, for sure.
No,
if not Larry Mack.
I think besides Larry McReynolds, Chad Canals is the go-to guy for anything involving a race car on a NASCAR track.
Exactly. But yes, a crew chief makes a good driver. I mean, you can't have some random some driver go out there and make laps and win races every week without a good crew chief on the pit box.
Absolutely.
I highly doubt that Dale Earnhardt would have won that Daytona 500 if it wasn't for Larry Mack. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
At the same time, I mean, we can't say, I know he missed it a lot. He only got one, but he was always in contention for the win.
He was always in contention. Yes, he was.
So, I mean, I'm sure it had a lot to do with Larry Mack. I mean, that's America's crew chief, but I don't know, man. When it comes to Dale Sr., I don't think it mattered who was talking to him in his radio or who was setting his car up. Because you go back and you look at all the pictures and videos of Earnhardt, he was in the garage with him, doing what he wanted to do on his own car.
Oh, yeah. That comes from his background. I mean, every time that he could get a chance to be around cars, he took it. That comes from watching his dad race.
Right.
Moving on to the Cup Series, Ross Chastain wins his third career win in the Cup Series. Clean. He didn't hit anybody. He kept his nose clean all day. He was the class of the field. When you win from the pole, you are the class of the field. I mean, I think that just makes you the class of the field. If you win from the pole and you're that dominant, you have the car beat.
Absolutely. And, I'm trying not to be biased. I don't really care for Ross Chastain, but I won't deny his talent. The guy He's a hardcore driver, man. All he wants to do is win, just like everybody else. So I get it, and I know he picks a lot of times to be aggressive at the wrong time. But if you don't take chances and you don't be aggressive and you don't show the other drivers that they're not gonna, mess with you and not have any repercussions, then you're not gonna make it anywhere. So you can't. A lot of people are saying, that he's bad for the sport and stuff. I think he's good for the sport, man. We need that rivalry. We need drivers mad and pissed off at each other.
I have been saying
What,
that for a year.
And like I said, I honestly don't care for the guy. I do think he's a little cocky. Or no, you know what? He's not even cocky. He's actually very humble. If you listen to him in his interviews, um, he wants to be great, man. And I say let him be great.
The biggest mistake that you can do as a team owner is tell your driver to stop racing the way he wants to race. And I'm not even saying that about Justin Marks. I'm saying that about Rick Hendrick, Roger Penske, Denny Hamlin, anybody. You cannot, if you want your driver to succeed, let them race the way they want to race, and then they will face the consequences after.
Right, and going back to what you just said, like a month ago, whenever it was that Ross Chastain got into a little bit of a tussle with all the drivers at the same race at Hendrick Motorsports, Hendrick came out that same week and said, I don't condone my guys being aggressive and wrecking other people. He's like, but you're not going to do it to my drivers and expect them not to do it back. And I think that's something that a great race car owner, that's a good piece of advice for any driver out there that was listening to him that day. I don't want my drivers to have to resort to that, but you're not going to do that to my drivers and think it's okay and keep doing it week after week after week.
Oh yeah. I believe
Ross knows. I think Ross he's calmed down, but his aggressiveness is still there. He's just using it a lot more logically now.
I think he's saving the most aggression for the playoffs.
Yeah, and you should. I mean,
You should.
Look, a 10 out of 10. If it comes down to the playoff race, and I got to get you out of the way, whether it be a nice bump or a hard bump, and it's coming down to the championship, you're going into the wall, buddy. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. I know you're a Chase Elliott fan, and you know me, I'm a Denny fan, but I think that 2017 Martinsville was what you got to do to win a race and get to the championship. Now, granted, Denny didn't close it out and win that race, but if he had, then he would have been in Homestead, and Chase could either do what he did at Phoenix or he could hold up Denny at Homestead. But if Denny Hamlin wins that race, he is one of the championship four in 2017.
Yes, of course. And that's a pretty good subject to talk about, honestly. You know, I think Elliott thought about it hard throughout that whole race at Phoenix. And you could tell, you know, if you watch by the way he was driving, the way he raced Hamlin, and I know technically he put him in the wall, but I don't think he was intending to wreck him, honestly.
I don't think that.
Because he had to tire a few laps later, which altogether caused him to spin out and hit the wall really hard and retire from the race. And like I say, if you watch it, it was the slightest bump to the wall just because Elliott squeezed him.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I don't know if he. I'm sure he meant to make him a lot slower than what he was by putting him into the wall, of course, to keep him from the championship. But it looked like to me he was definitely trying not to just wreck him flat out.
Chase Elliott did not intend to end Denny Hamlin's day. I don't think he intended to send him to the garage. He intended to show his displeasure, which that's your right as a race car driver. You have to do that. If you don't do that, you're gonna get pushed around. And that's what Chase Elliott did. Chase Elliott showed Denny Hamlin, I don't appreciate what you did at Martinsville, so I'm going to do something back to you to make it the score even. And unfortunately, it was just such a hard hit that the tire rubbed the rubber off and blew the tire, and that ended Denny's day.
And going back to Charlotte a couple weeks ago when he did what he did to Hamlin, it could have seriously hurt Hamlin. And at first, I wasn't thinking about too much, and I was a little hot headed, and I was like, yeah, that's what he gets. And then you go back, you look at the replay and stuff, and you realize what he did and how hard Hamlin hit, and you can't do it anymore. And I don't think it's even. A lot of people are saying you just can't do it in these cars. No, that's been a rule for a long time now. You just can't right hook somebody into the wall anymore. It's not safe. That car will never be a little bit more flatter hit. Hamlin probably would have been hurt. There's no doubt about it. And I think these guys are getting lucky with the hits they're taking. They're just not hitting in the right spot. And so and they got to crack down on that. And I know he tried to say it wasn't intentional. We know it's intentional. The data was there. Denny showed it. NASCAR showed it. Chase got what he was supposed to get. They like when Bubba did it to Larson. And you can't take sides. Everybody says it drives me nuts, man. Everybody says Elliott's golden child.
I don't think so.
I don't think he is, because if you look at his past few years, he's not getting handed nothing. I don't think he ever got handed anything, in my opinion. Yeah, he got put on a 5-star team, obviously one of the best teams in NASCAR just from stats alone. But he worked his way up there. Yeah, he went to junior, and he may have had a little bit of help. But, he comes from racing down at the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida, the ARCA Series. He worked his way all the way up. He didn't just start with Dad's money, because, you've seen it. Bill Elliott didn't give Chase much. He told him, if you want it, you got to go out there and get it.
Oh, yeah, that's what By the way, on the subject of Dad's money, shout out to Tony Stewart. By the way, I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah, you talking about when he was walking back from the garage on the pit road?
No, Tony Stewart said that, oh, God, what was it they said? He said that he doesn't care about Daddy's money or something like that. He's not gonna. He's not gonna sign Daddy's money.
His opinion on, or they asked him why he hired Josh Berry.
Yes.
And he couldn't have gave a better answer.
No, you really couldn't. That is what it takes to make it in NASCAR, showing that you're talented. Back to Chase Elliott, he won the 2014 Nationwide Series championship. Am I right? Was it 2014 or 2013?
Yep. It was 2014.
And you have to be a race car driver to win a championship in any series. So that already proved that he has talent. And then he gets his big break in Martinsville the next year in 2015, driving the 25 for Hendrick. He showed his stuff, and when Jeff Gordon walked out the door at the end of that year, Hendrick told Chase, "You're in the 24." So you have to be talented. You have to be a race car driver to be a driver of a race car, if that makes sense.
Exactly. I mean, and that speaks volumes when you're picked to succeed. Such an accomplished driver that Jeff Gordon was. I mean, the same with Bowman. Bowman's not bad by any means. The guy can race. He just ends up in a lot of bad positions. But giving him the 48 and getting him out of 88. Just regardless if he was already in, excuse me, in that car already, the fact that you were given a legendary number like that and told, hey, it's up to you now. You got to make this number look good. You got to go out there and show them what you got. And Bowman has done that time and time again. But you can't just win 3 races and still finish 30th every other race.
No, you really can't. I did. This 2023 is Byron's breakout year. Alex Bowman will have a breakout year. There's no doubt in my mind that Alex Bowman will have a breakout year just like William Byron is having this year.
I agree. And when you say breakout year, Byron's really having a breakout year. He hasn't looked in these wins. Every race that he's won, he's either dominated or he was top 3 the entire day.
Absolutely. I mean, William Byron has been...
Yeah, I mean, Byron's got a real chance at the championship this year, man. He is on fire.
He does. Um, he is one of the guys that I have in the Final Four, at the very least. I definitely have William Byron in the Final Four.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know who. I don't know any of the other three. I haven't quite decided yet. Um, but I definitely have William Byron as that fourth guy. Um,
And you know who? On my second pick,
who?
if you're ready to move on, I'd like to talk about another guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, RCR is back on the map.
Kyle he's having a phenomenal season, and he's got a couple of big sponsors, but some of his sponsors are little guys that people never heard of and stuff like that, and it really, it's messed up the way he got done by Gibbs, talking about there's no sponsorship. Obviously, there's sponsorship. As soon as everybody found out that he was going to be in the A car for RCR, the sponsors started rolling in for Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, Lucas Oil.
I mean, he's still getting sponsored. It's the middle of the season, man. He's still got people trying to be on his car.
Oh yeah, Lucas Oil, 3Chi, Bet MGM, just to name a few.
The McLaren grills.
Yeah. So I don't think sponsorship was an issue at Gibbs. I don't know the whole story there. Um, there were articles that Kyle was asking for too much money. Which, if that's the case, then why did RCR sign him? Because
and we all know that Joe Gibbs has a lot more money than RCR because of Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah. So I don't know what happened at Gibbs. It's a very unfortunate situation, but it's opened the door wide open for Kyle.
Since we're on that subject of Kyle and Gibbs, let's throw Martin Truex Jr. in there. First of all, he had an absolute, basically a dominating day until Ross was able to snatch the lead from him. He never really could get it back. Do you think Joe Gibbs looks at Truex like his new Kyle Busch in a way?
I kind of maybe see that. I mean, you've definitely seen Martin kind of trend upward this year after going winless last year. But I think it's too soon to tell. I kind of figured that Denny would be the new flagship car, I guess you could say.
Right.
But I don't know. It's so hard to tell because the identity's not there. The same feeling of the Kyle Busch,
right.
The Kyle Busch JGR feel is not there.
And Hamlin and Truex are both very, very accomplished drivers and very good at what they do. And and in a sense, I would say that Hamlin's better. He just, he hasn't been able to get the championship yet. But the stats don't lie. Denny's, way more, or not way more, but he's got more wins than Truex. He's had so many appearances in the Final Four, and just never able to jump on the opportunity to get it done. And and a lot of people say that he's never going to win a championship. I don't believe that. I believe Denny's had multiple seasons where he should have won, but something happened and he didn't. And that only goes on for so long before it finally goes the way it should.
I said this. I said it. I believe that it took 20 years for Dale Earnhardt to finally win the Daytona 500. And there's an old saying, he found every way to lose it before he won it. I think that's going to be the same way with Denny. He's going to find every way to lose it before he finally finds it.
I mean, look at how many Daytona 500s he's had. That's not just any race you can go out there, lollygag around and win, man.
No, it's not.
He puts himself in position and he's right there every time.
And every time. I think he kind of got lucky in 2020 with Ryan Blaney and Newman getting together. I don't think he wins that if Newman doesn't spin. But I mean, he still put himself in that position.
That's all that matters. There aren't no what could have and what should have been in a race. It's either you do it or you don't.
And that is a point I would like to touch on is the championship needs to be more than one race. Because if we're going to crown a champion by one race, then that's not right. I don't think that's right.
It defeats the purpose of being consistent the whole season.
It defeats the purpose of the last nine playoff races.
Right.
Um,
I can agree. I don't understand why we can't just go back to what worked. I like the chase system.
I loved it.
Just take out the elimination, man. We can still have 16 drivers. Just you got to be the most consistent driver of those 16 for 10 straight races.
I mean I agree 100%. I agree with you, but if NASCAR absolutely has to have the eliminations, then it lengthen the last round, lengthen the championship round. Um, I don't know if they would ever even consider this, but go to 12 races in the playoffs. Have 4 rounds of 3 or 3 rounds of 4.
Well, I mean, if you like what you just said, I think it would work a lot better. They could do that, and I think it would be a lot better. Why is it not a possibility that we could still have the elimination system, but you got to be consistent through those first 11 races, or let's just say they stay with 10 through those first 8 races. Then when you get to Martinsville, okay, you got 10 drivers. Yeah. 6 of you are going to be eliminated. If you wasn't consistent through the playoffs, you have no chance. You're just out there trying to win a race. But if you're in that top 5, top 6, that race could potentially be the win to get in, or something like that. You can still keep it to where you have to win to get in, but make it where there's no elimination to that last race. Like, say the first 9 races, 7 different drivers win the race. Okay, those 7 different drivers cannot fall in the points until that elimination race. So say you got 7 drivers that won a race, you're at Martinsville, 1 race till you get to Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
If you've won multiple races, and everybody else is only won 1, you should automatically have that playoff, that championship berth, no matter what. You won multiple races in the playoffs, you're in. And, it could go on like that. Because, a long time ago, Jimmy Johnson won his championship 6 races before it was over.
Oh, yeah.
So why does it have to be you have to win that race and come in the top 4 to be in the championship race? Yeah, you can still be consistent and you might lose. But, what's the problem with you still have technically your same bracket, except it's a little different. It gives everybody a chance more than what you give them now. Because, 10 drivers can't win the same race. No, and I think it's not fair. Like Kevin Harvick, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a Chase Elliott fan. I love that he got that championship. And I'm not going to say he wasn't deserving of it, because he was. He still won 6 races that year. That's a good season. But Harvick had 9, and, he came into that race 40-something points above the cut line. How do you lose 40-something points in one race, man? That's not right.
No, it's not. I was about to bring that up. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking on Chase, but I don't think he should have made it to Phoenix. It was, let's see, it was Truex, Chase, Joey, and Denny that year. I think they should have been Kevin instead of Chase.
I think it was Chase, Logano, Keselowski, and
it might have, yes, it was Keselowski. Truex was in 2021. So Keselowski, yeah. Logano, Denny, and Chase. I think that should have been Kevin Harvick's spot. I think it should have been Harvick, Denny, Keselowski, and Joey. And only.
Well, and I see where you're coming from, but I wouldn't say he shouldn't have won it. I mean, regardless, he won that race. He was going to the final four, but Harvick shouldn't have been eliminated just based off of how many wins he had.
Oh yeah. Um, I think I can't. I think I put it a wrong way. That made it sound like I should. Like I was thinking that Chase shouldn't have been in it. Chase obviously should have been in it because he won the race. So maybe it should have been Kevin instead of Denny. I hate to say that as a Denny fan, but I don't think Kevin Harvick should have been in Phoenix to contend for the championship.
Well, if you think about the season he had, and he even had a pretty decent playoffs. I know he had one or two wrecks, and one of them was a DNF. But I just don't think it's right. You can go into that race with that much of a points lead and still lose it by one position. I don't think that's right. I'm not saying, who knows if Harvick was in that same championship race with Chase. Harvick most definitely probably would have had a lot better car than what he went there with the next week when they weren't in the championship. But the fact is that Harvick should have never been in a position where he had to race and win that race to get in, simply because of the season that he had. He was the most dominant, the best finishes, the most laps led. He had everything. He had topped every chart in that season.
Yeah. Again, you hit the nail on the head. There's no reason. I mean, we've known since they introduced this point system that it was flawed. It's not executed properly at all, and it has potential to completely destroy the season of the most dominant driver, as we saw in 2020 with Kevin Harvick.
And just what you said, that word, the flawed system that we have right now. It'd be okay if there was one or two flaws, but there's too many flaws is the problem.
Yes, there's multiple and stacked on top of each other. Moving on. For, speaking of Kevin Harvick, I think he was going to win that race if he didn't have that tire go down.
I agree. I have that on my notes. I want to talk about that.
I
Started
mean,
the race
he
not
was
so hot, but gradually they worked their way up there to where they were definitely one of the fastest cars on the track, and he was coming. I mean, by far, he was fast.
he was charging. He was a man on a mission. But then that tire goes down, and I mean, it's Darlington from last year all over again. Except for the only thing different is he didn't catch on fire. Which, I mean, thank goodness he didn't catch on fire. You never want to see anybody catch on fire. But, I mean.
And even with the cautions after that, without the track position, it doesn't matter what happens after that, because the package they use now is so hard to pass.
Yes.
That you can have the fastest pit stop, gain 5 positions, but if you're still not even in the top 5, you have no chance.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't debate that. I mean, everything you're saying is 100% accurate. I mean, you have to be up there. You have to have fresh tires if you're going to pass anybody, or even try to make a pass. And I mean, it's just a basic math equation. Track position plus late race track position plus fresh tires equals potentially a race win.
Exactly, and you could do it on used tires, but if you don't get that pass within the first 2 turns, you just get freight trained. The only way you have a chance if you're able to get out front right from the start and block your ass off.
Oh yeah, I mean you're gonna have to block. You have to block with this car, or else they're gonna get to your outside or inside, whatever. It depends on what track we're at, and you're just gonna go to the back. I mean, just like Daytona and Talladega a few years ago, if you don't have anyone behind you, and there's a whole line of cars in the lane that you're not in, you're going to the back.
That and you got to be careful about who and how you block them, because we've seen it time and time again. You're not going to block Keselowski at a super speedway with a stupid block and think nothing's going to happen.
Well, Keselowski, I don't know what to say about Brad. He
Should
He
have stayed in 2 car.
he he should have stayed in the 2 car. Yeah, I don't think Cindric was quite ready for the Cup Series. I think maybe a few more years in the Xfinity Series.
I mean, you
Uh,
got one win, but can we really say that it was? Was it a legit win?
I think it was one of
Was it a
those.
fluke?
I think it was one of those lucky wins.
I do too.
Um, he
What has
had
he done since then? He had one good run at Bristol, and he had to take Tyler Reddick out to even try to go for the win.
yeah. I mean, I don't even remember what race that was. So I mean, to
The Bristol Dirt Race
this year,
last year.
I think that's Briscoe you're talking about.
Yeah, Bristol Dirt.
Yeah.
Oh, Briscoe. No, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. But I mean, still, I mean, Cindric, Briscoe, both their there's potential there, but I think they got moved up too soon.
And
Um,
I can see why they wanted Cindric so bad. You know, he had a great Xfinity career.
he did. I mean, Briscoe did too. Chase Briscoe did as well. Um, he was doing
And
phenomenal in the
Briscoe had a
'98.
good truck career too.
Yeah, they were teammates back. They were teammates back in the BK racing day, or not BK,
Exactly.
not BK's
And
last
they
year
were,
race.
they were pretty dominant too.
They
What was
were
it, the 29 truck and
the 19.
19? That's right.
Um, yeah, they were class of the field back then, and now I mean neither one of them can get a win without looking into it. I don't know.
Well, that and speaking on drivers, I think were brought up too early. Another Jeb Burton, man, it's not looking good, in my opinion, for him.
I don't even know what series he's in. To be honest, isn't he in the Xfinity series?
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm saying I think he got brought up. Like it doesn't have to be the Cup, you know. Just in general, like he was pretty decent in the Truck Series and gets brought up to the Xfinity Series, and what has he shown?
Nothing. I mean,
And his brother Harrison, he's not doing anything in the 21 car, man.
flipping down the
Right?
backstretch at Daytona.
Exactly.
I mean, other than that, there's nothing. Nailing Kyle Larson at Talladega, was that not Harrison, or was that no? That was Ryan Priest. I take that back. That was
That's right.
Priest. Um, Ryan. Speaking of Ryan Priest, I think he has potential in that 41 car. He just needs to find some momentum and carry it forward.
Yeah, they're just having a string of bad luck. That and I mean, clearly, you know, their setups are off.
Yeah.
The 10 car and the 4 car, you know, they're usually always in the top 10 at least. I know that Eric Almirola has a lot of bad luck, but when he doesn't have bad luck, he has a really good running. But the 41 and the 14, they're never there, man.
No, they're not. Uh, we kind of got a little bit off subject. Um, to get back to the race on Sunday, Chevy wins a Toyota dominated Nashville for the second year in a row.
Yep.
It's something when the sun goes down, Chevrolet comes out to play. Um, Toyota won both the stages with Reddick and Denny, and then like I said, when the sun went down, Ross just found the speed.
Yeah, and that seems to be a big trend in general lately. You know, we saw it with at Darlington. You know, it was the two main drivers dominating all day. As soon as the sun went down, they got shaken up. It was somebody else dominating.
Yeah. Um, I think. Oh, who was dominant that race? Was it Larson? Was dominant that race and then got taken out by Chastain?
Yep. And I'm not going to say that Byron wasn't.
Byron was good. Byron was good that race.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah, he was top five all day.
he was up there all race. So Chevrolet looking pretty good. Win 3 championships in 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know, like we know Byron's looking great this year, but his Chevy partners, or Elliott and Larson and Bowman, they're not exactly hot right now. Especially Elliott. I mean, I don't know.
I think
I
once
don't want to say
Chase
it is, but I swear since he had his injury, man, he's just not driven the same.
I think once Chase wins a race, he'll be back in form. I think he just needs to get that first win back, and he'll be he'll take off.
Right, and since he's been back, the stats are showing he's getting better every week. I mean, his he's literally getting better positions every single week. He's getting closer and closer. Just can't cap it off. Like he said, in his interview, they're so close, they just can't quite capitalize. And if you want to be a championship contending driver, you have to capitalize on those moments. You have to make it happen. You have to get it done. If you don't win races, you're not winning a championship.
No, I mean, um, I think the Truck Series is an anomaly of its own, where Crafton won the championship and didn't win a race. I think in the Cup Series you have to win races if you like.
Well, remember the same thing happened with Daniel Hemrick in the Xfinity Series. He never won a race the entire season, and he finally won a race. It just happened to be the championship race, and he was in the final four.
Right. Um, I but I believe that in the Cup Series, if you don't get a checkered flag, you're not making it to the championship race. I don't think.
No, agreed. I
Well,
mean, usually the guys that don't win a race are the first ones out of the first
well,
elimination round.
well. I don't know. Ryan Newman didn't win a race in 2014, and he was there.
Yeah, he was. But, back in 2014, it was a lot different then.
It was. I mean, that was almost 10 years ago. Good lord.
The chase itself is still basically the same, but you didn't necessarily have to win to get in back then.
Not necessarily. Um, Moving on to another topic, Blaney. We spoke of him earlier. He that was a hard hit where there's no safer barrier.
Yeah, and it's got to be really frustrating when you did get on the brakes, you did everything right, but you got hit from behind.
Oh yeah. I mean, people just not paying attention probably. Um, pay, Kyle, but Kyle was getting pushed from behind, and that's what sent him into Blaney, and that's what spun both of them.
A chain reaction, man. We see it every week.
Oh yeah, I mean every week, absolutely, but especially on Sunday, it was just.
And he has the right to be frustrated, especially taking a hit like that. I mean, something's wrong when the driver gets out of the car and hits the ground on his knees because he can't breathe.
Oh yeah, I mean that's for the first sign that something's not right.
And I saw, that NASCAR is looking into it. They're, like a lot of people have said on the internet right now, there should be no looking into it. There should have never been looking into it. A racetrack doesn't matter inside, outside, pit lane, whatever. There needs to be safer barriers around every wall in between that track.
You just said the same words that Larry Mack said. I mean,
there's no way around it. I mean, you can't count on a rare incident to happen every now and then for you to make the right safety procedures and put them in place. What if it would have been just a little bit faster, a little bit harder, and ruined his racing career? What would NASCAR do about that? There's nothing they can do about that. They can't take that back. They can't give him his career back.
I know that 10 years ago they only had safer barriers in the corners. We spoke about this earlier. Chase and Denny at the Coke 600. If there's no safer barrier there, who knows what would have happened to Denny?
Let's be realistic. We're adults here, mostly probably listening. Denny probably wouldn't still be here.
Probably not. I mean, if there's no safer barrier and that's just concrete wall, I mean, I it scares me it scares me to think about it. I mean, We don't know if he would have even let the window net down. We don't know if he would have even been um, okay. We don't. We
That's
just
the problem. There's so many what ifs. There shouldn't be any what ifs.
there shouldn't be any what ifs because what? Because I mean, what if Christopher? What if Christopher Bell isn't there at Las Vegas in last year? If Christopher Bell's not there, Larson's backing it into the wall. Got a concussion, out for the rest of the season. So just think,
Exactly.
just
That's like they were so and I get it. They were excited to bring this new car out, which by the way has put on some great races. I mean, we can't deny that the racing is getting better and better every week, in my opinion. The more experience they get with this car, the better races have been. But there was nothing wrong with the Gen 6 car.
no.
There was nothing wrong with taking that. I know you got pushed back a year, but, when it comes to safety, it doesn't matter how many years it gets pushed back. You have to get it right the first time. There's no room for error when it comes to safety going 200 miles per hour in a stock car.
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing that we never saw in the Gen 6 is concussions from backing it into the wall. I mean, how many wrecks did you see where someone was square with the wall at the back bumper and they got out and walked and raced the next week?
Right, or just if the car's not incinerated in general, like look at Austin Dillon's Daytona wreck or Ryan Newman's, in this
Right?
car, those guys probably wouldn't be here right now.
Probably not. This car, I mean, I hate to knock the car, but it's too stiff. I think it's too
Exactly.
stiff.
I think they will get it right, but that's the thing though. It should have been done right from the get go, and we wouldn't have had all these problems. Who knows? We don't know. I'm not. I mean, we probably do know. It probably wouldn't have happened, but you don't know if Bowman would have made it to the Final Four last year without being out.
Probably
He
not.
was having a decent season before that.
Probably not. He probably does get to the Final Four, or at least over round of 8, at the very least. Um,
And the same with Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch was having a great year in the 45 car. I know he only had one win, but the finishes were there.
I definitely don't know what the Hail Melon would have looked like in a Gen 6. I think it would have completely disintegrated the car. Um, I don't know.
It's got its pros and cons. There's a lot of things it can do that the Gen 6 couldn't do.
It's
But I
definitely
feel like there's positions you can't put yourself in with this new car.
it's definitely stronger, but in some areas it's too strong.
And the places that it needs to be strong at, it's not. It's the problem.
Exactly. It's too stiff in the back, which is why we get all these concussions. Because
Right.
the driver.
And I get, their main focus on this car was to make the racing more better and exciting, which it has by far.
That
But you can't skip over the biggest part of the entire sport.
you can't
That's safety.
you can't let safety take second priority.
Exactly.
I mean, those are human beings in those cars. So I mean, every time one of them hit and the car doesn't give, the driver's taking the brunt of the impact. So it scares me to think what would have happened if um like I said earlier, it scares me to think what would have happened if the safer barrier wasn't at Charlotte. Thank goodness they did. They have put safer barriers all around, both inside and outside at the tracks. But there definitely is some work that needs to be done to make these cars not only fun to watch as a fan, but safe to drive as a driver.
Right, and I think they got the fun to watch part under control, but they really need to focus on the safety. And I mean, they obviously made improvements. I mean, there's been no injuries this year yet, and they've done the things they did last year that injured people. So that part's taken care of. But going back a few weeks ago when Larson had the hard hit in the side, that you can't. The roll cage is supposed to cave in, not break.
Well, I mean, we had Gregson out for some time.
Yep.
Um, I don't remember what hit he took. Yes, I do. St. Louis. Um, another situation, and his wreck reminded me a lot of Jimmy Johnson's wreck in 2017 and Bubba's in 2019. Um, there's a safety issue when someone can pretty much recreate a wreck in a new car and they get hurt and those other two guys didn't.
Right.
So I mean, I have I have I trust NASCAR will get the safety side of it um, under control, and we will see what happens in the coming years with this car. I hate
Yeah, we just have to wait, see how it all plays out.
I hate to say years, but I mean that kind of feels how long it's going to take to get it
I
right.
mean, yeah, and the fact that, or it's not even the fact that, it's just in general, we shouldn't be at this point with the technology they have these days and how far NASCAR's come. The car should have already been where it needs to be.
I mean, absolutely right. Um, we pretty much covered the race weekend, all three series. So there's really nothing else to talk about as far as the race weekend this past weekend. We got Chicago coming up, the street race. I'm not really looking forward to it as a fan because I don't know if it's going what the coverage is going to be like or where the cameras are going to be set up. Hoping that they find the right spots and just best of luck to all the drivers and stay safe.
Yep, I'm looking forward to Chicago. And speaking of Chicago, with the withdrawal of Jimmy Johnson, I'd like to express our most heartfelt condolences to him and that tragedy that they're dealing with right now.
Absolutely. We we here at CSN want to express our deepest sorrows and condolences, and our thoughts and prayers are with the Johnson family. Um, it's hard to go through something like that.
Right. I mean, regardless if it's a death in the actual NASCAR world or outside of it, when it involves one of those drivers, there's nothing you can do but feel the heart and compassion for somebody, especially and not even just even Johnson, just his wife, with it being involved with her family, close family, and whatnot. So that's just something that you never want to hear. Like I said, regardless if it's on the track or not, you never want to hear about something tragic like that going on in somebody you watched, race for 20, 25 years.
Absolutely not. Yes, we again we here at CSN want to express our deepest sorrows and our thoughts and prayers are with Jimmy and his family. Um, I know people that are big fans of Jimmy that support him through thick and thin, and right now I think the entire NASCAR garage supports Jimmy Johnson.
Yes, I agree.
And um, with that, I would like to say thank you for coming on and doing this podcast.
Oh
And
yeah, man, I appreciate it. I'm ready for the next one.
um, these episodes will be live every Tuesday at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. Um, Next week we're hoping to have a whole crew. We had some communication issues earlier. And is there anything you'd like to add to close out?
No, nothing but like I said, I appreciate being here. I hope anybody that was listening enjoyed everything they heard, and we try our best to keep on to the topics of the weekend. But like any good podcast, you're going to talk about history in general,
Oh yeah.
especially when involved in certain sports.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, appreciate being here, man, and I can't wait to get going with the next one.
Absolutely. Because we don't know what to expect from Chicago, we'll probably just talk about what happened in the races,
Right.
and all right, NBC is underway, and probably the best half of the season, and
Oh yeah, sounds good, buddy.
eh,
I think I think we'll have a lot goes down in these, especially in the Cup races. I don't think we'll have a problem having anything to talk about every week. It's always something big that goes down, and there's usually a lot of key moments that we're going to be able to talk about every week. So,
oh yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, pal. I'll see you in the next one next week. And with that, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening. And we'll see you guys in next week's episode.
yep. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Holla.